This video is proudly sponsored by Squarespace. So on this channel I talk all the time about this exercise and that provides all these different functional benefits all at once. But the granddaddy of them all, when it comes to functional training, should probably be the kettlebell swing. The kettlebell swing is so incredibly effective at so many different things that it has a whole term named after it called the what the hell effect. And this is because when people use the kettlebell swing and they see their sprint times improve, their jump height improve, their deadlift improve, their back strength, they say, what the hell? The kettlebell swing truly does transfer to a whole range of different things, and it can have specific benefits depending on how you apply it. Specifically, today we're going to be talking about a variation akin to the hardstyle kettlebell swing. So in the hardstyle kettlebell swing, the focus is on generating massive power in a manner that should translate to more powerful strikes in martial arts and greater athleticism. It can also build your posterior chain like nothing else, helping you to improve your deadlift, helping you to move better and more healthily throughout the day, helping you to jump higher. It's just an all-round incredible exercise. So the kettlebell swing is of course a hip hinge movement, and that's where a lot of its benefits come from because it's an explosive hip hinge. When you perform a vertical jump, you need to perform this kind of explosive hip hinge as you bring your torso up at the same time as driving through your legs. Performing just a deadlift or something, you're performing the same movement very slowly, whereas the kettlebell swing teaches you to explode through that range of motion. So it makes sense that this would transfer to a greater jump height. And of course, to do this properly, you should be driving through the glutes. And the glutes are often described as your primary anti-gravity muscles. They're the ones responsible for your ability to jump and leap and sprint to a certain extent. So if you're not training your glutes maximally, then you're not going to be getting the most out of your athletic performance. At the same time though, this is very similar to a deadlift. You're strengthening the lower back in the same way, but because you're able to do this for higher rep ranges typically, this allows you to build not only strength in the lower back, but strength endurance. By building up strength and endurance in this area, we can make sure that we're strong and stable there all throughout the day. And we can teach the correct hip hinge movement so that you're not bending that lower spine and potentially putting it through unnecessary stress. At the same time, the kettlebell swing will help to strengthen your core and your upper back, your thoracic spine, because this is an anti-flexion movement. So when the bell moves forwards like this, the momentum is trying to pull you forwards. Your job is to keep your back straight and upright. In fact, if you're doing it right, you should have your back straight and you shouldn't be bending forwards with it. This allows you to resist forces that are pulling that way on you. And that's really important because when you carry anything heavy, that's what you're doing. You're holding it in front of you and you're preventing yourself from flexing. So many of our exercises are flexion exercises or they're anti-extension. In other words, we're bending forwards against resistance, or we're trying to keep our body rigid when something is trying to pull us backwards. So in other words, we're always fighting something pulling us backwards. And we're hunched over in everyday life anyways. When you sit at a computer, you're hunched over. When you look at your phone, you're hunched over. In other words, we need more things teaching us to extend our spine and to keep our core strong in that direction, and the kettlebell swing is the perfect candidate for that. Kettlebell swings are also really good for your grip because as the weight is trying to get away from you, you need to hold onto it as hard as you can, and that bar tends to slip around inside your hand. This is a great way to build up grip strength without even really trying. Pavel Tsatsouline describes kettlebell swings as the closest thing to a fight as you're going to get without stepping into the ring. That's a cool sounding statement that doesn't really mean all that much, but I do get what he's getting at. Basically, it's a kind of exercise that's quite unique in that you're battling against this momentum, these forces that are pulling and tugging, and you have to brace your core at the same time as driving power through your hips, something quite unlike most exercises that we are used to using in the gym. And of course, kettlebell swing is fantastic as a form of metabolic conditioning, calorie burning, a cardio finisher, however you want to use it. It's brilliant for getting blood pumping around the body, burning through energy. If you want to get a more ripped physique, it's an ideal choice. Because the kettlebell swing has a kind of momentum to it, a kind of cyclical movement, this makes it perfect for using for higher rep counts. And you can do it for 50 repetitions, 100 repetitions. Just make sure you're using the right weight, of course, and that your technique isn't breaking down. And for anyone who wants to burn muscle whilst also burning fat, it's a great choice because it's resistance cardio, meaning that it's a form of cardio that also incorporates an element of resistance, which is better for conserving muscle as you're burning through fat. And for anyone who just wants to burn fat and get a better physique, it's better for burning fat because muscle has a higher metabolic cost than fat. Just being more muscular burns more fat, and having that extra resistance means that you can actually put more effort into a shorter bout of exercise. This is what makes it fantastic for high intensity interval training, for Tabata, anything like that. You've grown since last time I saw you. So, to perform the kettlebell swing, what you're going to do is you're going to grab your bell end. Grab your kettlebell by the handle and hold it in the middle like this with both hands. Legs shoulder width apart roughly. And what you're going to do is you're going to thrust forwards with your hips, which is going to be what drives the kettlebell up. The key thing to recognize here is that this is not a squat. You're not squatting down with your legs. In fact, your legs are just going to be slightly bent. Let them bend naturally, but don't put any work into squatting down as you swing. Now, there is such thing as a squatting kettlebell swing, and this actually creates more ground reaction force, but that's not your classic bread and butter kettlebell swing. Rather, like I say, you're hinging at the hips. That means you're letting your butt move backwards and then thrusting forwards in order to drive it upwards into the air. In order to drive the hips forwards, you're contracting the glutes, and you should feel this in your glutes if you're doing it correctly. You're going to let the hip hinge once your arms touch your legs, like so. So you're not really moving the waist until about that point. You might be nervous that you're going to hit yourself in the crotch, but I've literally never seen anyone do that. I mean, of course you might be the first, but it's not highly likely. Comes forward, you want to keep your core nice and rigid. Again, this is an anti-flexion movement. You're trying to prevent your spine from bending forwards. You want to keep the weight quite close to your body, so when it comes upwards, have those shoulder blades retracted. And you can bend the arms, so you don't want it swinging all the way over there. You want to keep it nice and tight to the body. You want to make sure we're hinging at the hips properly, and I've talked in the past about the butt touch. I'll demonstrate it once more here. This is where you stand in front of a wall or a tree, any kind of flat surface, and then move your butt backwards to touch the wall behind you. And instead of bending forwards, we're focusing on moving the butt backwards. And if you're still not sure if you're engaging your glutes properly, I recommend trying something like the glute bridge, which is a great way to really feel whether or not you're activating your butt. I want to demonstrate to you how to do the glute bridge, but this whole area is covered in sheep poo, which I didn't really expect, so I'm gonna have to go somewhere else, I think. With that in mind, you're about to see something you don't see very often on this channel. I'm going to put my top back on, I think. I know. So to perform this movement, you're just gonna get on the floor, then you're gonna get into a bridge, a half bridge with your shoulders on the floor, and then you're just going to thrust your crotch up into the sky like so. And if you feel it in your quads or your back, then you're not doing it correctly. And what you want to do now then is contract the glutes consciously as you go through this movement, push through your heels and focus on pushing your crotch up to the sky. What you can also do is get someone to put their hands on either side of your knees and you try and push them outwards as you go through the movement. This is another really good way to engage the glutes. If you practice this commonly, you'll find you actually start to use your glutes more in regular movements. And then when you perform the kettlebell swing, you'll feel it in the glutes. They'll feel like rocks in your trousers. And you just unlocked the kettlebell swing. Now keep going on about how there are different types of kettlebell swing and how they provide different benefit. So we've been talking about something like the hard style kettlebell swing. So in the sports style, essentially what you're doing is you're allowing momentum to carry you as much as possible, and you're trying to make it as efficient as possible, so you're expending as little energy as possible. This might mean that there's slightly more of a squat involved, or that you straighten your legs at the bottom of the movement. The whole thing looks more like a pendulum. On the other hand, the hard style kettlebell swing is a form of kettlebell training that involves relaxing the body, yes, but then during the hip thrust, you're going to really contract as hard as you can. And this is the nuance, the important feature of hardstyle kettlebell training, because what you're doing is you're trying to quickly switch between complete relaxation and then sudden hard contraction. And this is what we do in martial arts, for example, in order to deliver the most power possible. We want to be fully relaxed and then contract powerfully on the moment of impact. And that's what we're trying to emulate with the hardstyle kettlebell swing. You also really emphasize the breathing, the outward breath on the contraction in the hardstyle. All the difference is internal. It's the way you're focusing on the movement, the way you're generating the power. And this is what I find so really interesting about it. They're two versions of the same exercise that look almost identical, but by changing what you're focusing on, you can completely alter the benefits that you're getting. Of course, the sports style being better for longer rep ranges and therefore cardio, and the hard style being better for martial artists, as well as athletes who also exhibit a kind of double pulse effect when producing power. Relaxation, then contraction. Relaxation in the right parts of the body, contraction in the right muscles. What's possibly even cooler is the overspeed kettlebell swing, which also has one of the neatest names in the world. Basically what you're doing here is you're actively swinging the kettlebell back down so that you have to catch it and propel it back up forwards. This downwards force, this additional downwards force, emphasizes the stretch shortening cycle, the myostatic response, and could help to build even more explosive athleticism. The jumping kettlebell squat, where you hold the kettlebell in a goblet position, is actually the perfect complement to the kettlebell swing, because here you are creating a triple extension as you launch up into the air and then drive through the ankles as well as you plantar flex to push yourself off in that last little bit. At the same time, because the weight's in front of you, you have to extend upwards, hinge the hip against that added resistance, keeping yourself nice and rigid and creating that explosive force. Then there are variations like kettlebell juggling, which creates more momentum, and you've got to slow that momentum. This also creates more of a engaging challenge for the nervous system. And of course, just one-armed kettlebell swings, which require further bracing in the core to try and now keep your body nice and straight instead of twisting around awkwardly. Then of course, you can also use the kettlebell swing to transition into a range of other movements for all kinds of cool flows. Switching between these creates a hybrid exercise, which means you're not only challenging yourself in all of these different positions, but also in the ability to transition between the positions. Thanks a ton for watching, guys. I hope you found this video useful and interesting. If you did, please consider leaving a like. That helps me out immensely. Leave a comment down below, let me know if you use the kettlebell swing and what's your favourite type if you do. Are there any that I've missed? If you like the style of training that looks at not only aesthetics and building muscle, but also your actual performance across the board, that means running speed, jumping height, mobility, focus, strength, explosiveness, cardio, all that good stuff, then you might enjoy my ebook and training program, Super Functional Training 2.0, and there's a link to that in the description down below. Also comes with over 2 hours of video tutorial. Subscribe if you'd like to see more like this, and either way, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Oh hey, you're still here. So now I'd like to take a moment to talk about today's sponsor, Squarespace. So Squarespace is a platform for creating websites. Whether you want to start your own business, whether you already have a business, or you just want to express yourself online, Squarespace makes it extremely easy to create a website with no coding necessary and minimal technical expertise required. Squarespace comes packed with features, so there's no limit to what you can create. Super easy to create and publish posts. You can schedule posts. There's member management features. You can create members only content, which is a great way to monetize your website. You can send emails directly from the platform. There's analytics, so you can track what's working and what's not. And there are powerful e-commerce features, so you can sell products from your website, and then you can expand on these features with additional plugins. That might mean adding things like sales tax reconciliation or global shipping for the e-commerce features. Basically, if it's something that you might need to run a website, then Squarespace has you covered. And I don't know if it matters to you guys, but Squarespace are also really content creator friendly. They let me post the integrations at the end of the videos. They've supported the channel loyally for many, many months now, and they make it possible for people like me to create more of the content that I love. So yeah, I love supporting Squarespace. I think they're a fantastic company, and I think they have a brilliant tool for anyone interested in creating art or running a business. If you're interested in trying out Squarespace, then go to squarespace.com to learn more and for a free trial. And when you're ready to pull the trigger, head to the link in the description down below. That's squarespace.com/Bioneer for 10% off your first website or domain. Thanks once again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video, and thank you to you guys so much for sticking around.